Hi there, lovers, and this is Carlos Love, and I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. What look we're going to be going over is Lady Gaga's House of Gaga editorial look. Ma'am, when I tell you that my husband saw that and gagged. Well, granted, he is a Lady Gaga super fan. The look, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm actually going to put it up on the corner, and you guys tell me what you guys think. I'll give you a second. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, she literally gave us a look. I was shocked. I was dumbfounded, etc., etc. So what I'm going to be going over, I am going to be mentioning a few products, and I'm not doing a review on those products. What I am doing is that I'm using those products to recreate an inspirational look based on what Lady Gaga did. So the products that I'm going to be using to recreate this look. One we did mention in the last video, that was the Jeffree Star Holiday Collection review. So it is Santa Baby. Alright, and that was the almost wine red berry tone, and that one I think is going to best match the overall concept of her lipstick. Now she does have a little bit of a metallic on the inside to really make those lips pop out, and there was a collection that was released for the holidays. I did not, and I have not done a review on them. I have used them maybe a handful of times, but I do love the way they apply. A little goes a long way. So the color I'll be using is part of their holiday collection, and they did release a Best of Metallics lip kit, and this particular one is called Praline. Now the mini lips, there was 6 of them in that kit. I'm using Praline. So we have the lips, we have the brush kit. The brush kit is going to be part of Morphe's 702 Eye Credible. But it did come with a good amount of brushes. There was 12 brushes in there. I'm going to be using maybe, I might use like 4 or 5 of them. We'll see where it goes. And that is for the brushes that we're going to be applying the eyeshadow look with. We also have the eyeshadow palettes that I'm going to be using. There is another palette that I'm going to be using, and for those that are unaware of who JEAN-MICHEL BASQUIAT is, and forgive me if I mispronounce that, but he was a 1970s graffiti artist in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and he really got his name and got out there in the 80s, and that was when he got internationally known, and it was for his neo-expressionist feel. Now, a lot of his neo-expressionism, if you look at the palette, I'm actually going to show you here. So if you look at the palette, the artwork that he did is on the Urban Decay palette. So Urban Decay said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and we're going to commemorate a really well-respected artist. And they did that. They did it well, and the colors that are in there are very reminiscent of a lot of his artwork. So excuse the dirtiness of the palette, but we are going to be using some of those colors there. And then, like I said, the Jaclyn Hill palette, we're going to be going over a few of the colors in here to best create Lady Gaga's House of Gaga editorial look. So the first color I'm going to be using is actually out of the Urban Decay JEAN-MICHEL BASQUIAT palette, and I'm going to go in with the Firm Blending Fluff Brush. So again, that is Urban Decay's limited edition JEAN-MICHEL BASQUIAT palette, and that is going to be in the color 1960. I do want to go ahead and tap a little bit of that off because it can get heavy, especially because it is super pigmented. So we're going to start with going in, and I'm just going to lightly bring that in from the corner. So as you see, I'm bringing that in from this corner and bringing it about 1/3 of the way up. I do not want to go too high because the majority of the lid is actually covered in a very nice shimmer. It is almost very metallic, and I love that. So it's very holidays. So let's go ahead and apply just a bit of that. We're then gonna go ahead and drag it, the top part of where I applied that pink, just the top, not the entire amount, up towards the inner crease at the top. Same on the other side. And the next color that I'm going to be going over is actually from the Jaclyn Hill palette, and that color there is called Sissy. Now this color is a very good transitional tone from the pink matte color that I put on the inner corner to transition into the more metallic outside of the eye. Now the black is definitely the main focus point, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We're going to transition from the matte pink into the shimmer pink, so that's going to be a very metallic pink, and then it's going to go into a lot less of a pink. We'll blend that out using the blender brush, and I'll show you exactly which one that is in just a moment. And for this, I am still using the Firm Blending Fluffy Brush, and that is this brush here. So I'm gonna start a little bit more in, so I'm leaving very, very little of the matte pigment uncovered. I just like to go a little bit from the corners here and then almost immediately transition into the metallic color that we call Sissy in the pink, in that pink tone, and that's in the Jaclyn Hill palette. Now, I'm not seeing the amount of pigment that I really, really want, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna spray MAC Fix Plus. This is my ride or die when it comes to really bringing out some pigment. We're gonna go right back in and apply that right where I told you. So the majority of the lid is gonna be metallic, so I don't want it to be too much matte. So I'm pushing into the crease as I apply, following the natural crease of my lid. And again, if you guys have zoomed ahead, what I'm using is the Firm Blending Fluff Brush, and this is one of my favorites. MAC has one, it's the MAC 217 brush, and I have way too many of them. They are one of my most favorite brushes. Now, this particular brush is giving me the same feel, the same concept, and I'm not mad at it. The color I'm going over is actually called Faint. And Faint is part of the Jaclyn Hill palette, and that is this color. Now, as you can see, I am going up into the crease, and I'm kind of dragging down at an angle to place that exactly where I would like it. Right now, what I want to dig into is the extreme black that kind of drags out past the brow. And where I'm going to be placing the black tone, it's actually called Abyss, and it is part of Jaclyn Hill's palette. So if we're looking at the palette, I'm going to be using Abyss, and that's going to start from the last part of the corner of the eye and help to drag this out, give it a little bit more dimension. So we're going to use Abyss and see where that goes. I do want to use a little bit more of a flatter brush when I'm applying this to really, really pack that pigment in there. So we're going to use this brush here. So we're gonna apply it at an angle. Now, because I've created almost a false wing with the black pigment, I am gonna go ahead and turn the brush around where the majority of the pigment is, and I'm gonna go right underneath the eye, underneath the bottom lashes, and kind of create more of an extension to that. But this time, instead of going right into the wing, I want to create it a little bit more out. I'm gonna push more out. And I'm gonna follow along my bottom lash line and drag it almost all the way in. I'm gonna leave a little room in the corner because I do want to do a corner highlight just like she has. in the photo. And in order to blend that out, I am going to be using a blender brush. So I'm going to be blending that out just as much as I possibly can. Now the way that it looks like right now is not the finished product. So I'm just going right underneath the eye, blending that out as best as possible. And we're going to drag that out. With the same brush and the black pigment that is left over, what I'm going to do is now I'm going right where my eye socket crease is, and I'm going to drag that along that line. That is going to allow for it to be a little bit more blended with the black and not be so, how do you say, not so just misplaced. So we're going to go ahead and blend that up. So we're going into the crease and around and up. Now what I want to do next is I do want to go ahead and do that brow highlight. Now if you look in the picture, her brows are much skinnier and they're much more straight. So for me, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm actually going to bring that highlight just a bit lower to meet the end of that black line, which is followed from the lower lash line all the way out. I'm gonna go ahead and do the highlight about right here. So it's not gonna quite meet all the way up. What I am gonna end up doing so that it blends out very, very nicely is that I'm gonna use a different color highlight to be go right underneath my brow. So the color I'm going to use to blend this out is actually going to be the color that I popped right in the middle. I'm going to end up using Faint, and that's part of the Jaclyn palette. What I'm doing is I'm bringing this around, and I'm going right around. It's almost right, it's literally right above my crease line. So I'm just going to bring this around. And that actually, what's different on the picture than what's on my eye is that the end of my brow meets where the highlight is. So if you see the end of my brow here, that's where that highlight ends on my face. So now, since I have this space that's left above, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with another shade, and that is going to be her shade Beam. So it is a good brow highlight, and it's not so intense, but it allows everything to almost blend out very seamlessly. So I'm going to go right underneath this brow. I'm going to bring that all the way around and just kind of blend it into Faint, which was the color we used. Now for the inner corner highlight, what I do want to end up using is the same highlight brush that I used for my brows. So next what I want to go ahead and do is I want to do the inner corner highlight, and if you look at it, it is very pronounced. It almost looks like a silver, but I think I can get away with another one, and that's the one that's in the Jaclyn palette. Again, we haven't used it yet. It's called In Light. Now in order to get that same similar effect, that pop, we're going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus. And a little goes a long way. So what I end up doing is I jumped right into In Light, that is in the Jaclyn Morphe palette, and I'm gonna go right on that inner corner. So now that I have my highlight placed, I have the eyeshadow placed the way that I want it, I'm gonna go ahead and do the eyeliner now, and I'm gonna go ahead and put on some mascara, and I'll come back. So I'm back, you guys, and now I have my liner on. I also have my lashes with just mascara. These are my natural lashes. Yeah, I guess I was blessed. So next, before I have my absolute final look, I do want to go ahead and apply the lipstick, because without the lipstick, all I have is eyes. So let's go ahead and apply some of the lip. And for the lip, I am going to be using Jeffree Star's Santa Baby. That is part of his 2017 holiday collection, and in my last video, I did review it. And for me, I like highlight, so I'm going to change it up a little bit than what the picture shows. I'm going to apply Jeffree Star's Nefri, And if you haven't gotten your hands on it, it is the perfect tone of both pink with a little bit of purple underneath. It is a color that really pops on the cheek. You can keep it subtle if you wanted to. I mean, it depends on the brush that you use, really. But let's go ahead and apply the look. I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of highlight, and I think we'll wrap it up. And what I'm going to apply over the lip, which now I have on Santa Baby, I did only go over it once. I did not want to add too much pigment in there. I did want to go back over it with the Jouer Praline. Now this is the miniature version of the larger size. Now this did come in the Best of Metallics holiday kit for this year. If you can get your hands on it, I'd say do it because it is well worth it. A little bit of this goes a long way. You can wear it as both a topper and by itself. Now when applying it as a topper, it does change the color just a little bit, but it gives it a nice shimmer. So next I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of highlight. Now I noticed that there was a very subtle toned down highlight for me. I need a little bit more than that. This is my final look. This is the Lady Gaga House of Gaga Editorial look. And let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching and click subscribe below.